and welcome to the Check Out This Record podcast. My name is Frank, and with me is my good buddy Mark. This is the podcast where we talk about all sorts of musical goodness. We review albums we've never heard from before. We suggest albums to each other to review. We have a wide variety of musical discussions. You can check us out on Instagram and YouTube. And if you like what we have to say, please feel free to leave a review and leave us. Hopefully it's a 5-star review that you leave us. And remember, folks, if you think we are just the guys that don't like anything and what I've been told, we are the music snobs, well, A, you're right, and B, you can listen to our shorter episodes of Check Out This Song, where we dissect some of our favorite all-time songs. Those are usually under 10 minutes. Right, Mark?
Yeah, we have a lot of fun, and it's a great opportunity to not just be the guy who hates everything, because we do like a lot of music. So check us out on YouTube. It's this, but on YouTube.
There you go. A little shorter, condensed episodes, and we do like a lot of stuff, folks. But yes, we are also music snobs. But anyway, here we have a fan friend request, right, Mark?
Yeah. My good buddy Matt.
Hi, Matt.
He requested Cauterized by Tremonti. So Tremonti is a American heavy metal band founded and fronted by the lead vocalist and guitarist Marc, not me, Tremonti.
Paisan. He's Paisan.
He is a Paisan. In fact, it turns out Tremonti is Italian surname meaning 3 hills. What do you think of that?
Wow.
Did you know that?
I didn't know you knew Italian.
I don't. Metal bands are notorious for having like these weird, shitty names, and you gotta be like, "What the fuck does that mean?" So you look it up, and you're like, "Oh, this happens to just be this dude's last name."
There you go.
Which, whatever, but like, you would want like I don't know. I'd want my last name to be Italian for like pig's blood or something.
No.
Anyways, Marc Tremonti is better known as the lead guitarist for the bands Creed and Altered Bridge. Frank, you're a fan of those bands, right? Me neither. No, do you have a genuine opinion about either of those bands?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. So this is, I think this is what mainstream heavy metal sounds like, I guess.
Yeah. It's interesting, right?
I mean, that's a word you could use. It's odd because Alter Bridge describes itself as hard rock.
Okay.
So I'm kind of guessing here. I did listen to a little bit of Alter Bridge just to make sure I understood what was going on here. These are the heavier songs the singer from Alter Bridge didn't want to do. So I think Mark's just singing them himself, and he's got like, somebody else playing bass. It almost seems like every record there's somebody else playing bass. This one in particular, Frank.
Yeah, old Wolfie.
Old Wolfgang von Hollen.
Yeah.
I guess that means something to somebody. I don't think he's particularly talented just because his dad is. But, he's not the weakest point of this record, I guess. So Cauterize is their second studio album.
Yep.
This one, of course, as we just mentioned, Wolfgang von Hollen on bass, which doesn't, again, mean anything to me. None of the music on this is terrible.
No.
Boring and predictable, perhaps, but not bad.
Yeah, so I will say this. Listen, I think Tremonti, Paisan, is a great guitarist, and he seems like a super humble dude, and that helps me maybe not be a little too harsh when I say that, so that's why I try to say that.
It's funny when Greek people, see, Frank's half Italian, half Greek. When Greek people do something bad, Frank does not let them live it down. So the fact that he's giving this Italian guy a pass is really kind of surprising.
It is surprising.
I'm totally making that up, by the way. Lyrically, for me, this is just like a big scoop of cheap vanilla ice cream, like
the cheap kind.
Yeah, like the drive-in gas station kind, like the farm store brand of just cheap, freezer burn, vanilla ice cream. So, the issue with this is, again, lyrically, vanilla ice cream, and singing wise, well, there's a reason Paisan here wasn't the singer in either Creed or
Yeah.
and it's he's not doing him. I really think having listened to just a little bit of Alter Bridge and seeing some of what people consider their top hits, because they're kind of mainstream hard rock right now.
Yeah, I never knew they were that mainstream. Obviously knew Creed was, but Alter Bridge is totally mainstream. Had no idea.
Yeah, it's funny when I looked. So I was just trying to do a little research, wanted to give an honest, feedback on this record. A lot of people were describing Creed as post grunge.
Okay.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Wow. Yeah.
Post, no, that's not a thing. But I think the other guy has the Alter Bridge guy, whose name I didn't bother writing down.
Miles Kennedy, I believe, is his name.
Sure, I'm going to take Frank's word for that. I think he's got the better pipes and could probably pull off some of what Marc Tremonti Cauterize was trying to do here. Just none of this works for me.
Yeah. So, listen, this is described as metal or thrash metal, speed metal. I am not trying to say that.
None of that.
Yeah.
Vanilla Scoop fucking metal.
I'm not trying to say Tremonti's not a fan of this. I mean, listen, he has a picture of Dimebag Darrell on one of his guitars, right? The first song he learned was Sanitarium. He doesn't seem to be super egocentric who thinks he's solving the world's problems with the stuff he's writing, but I just don't believe that this is real metal or thrash. It's like being something you're not. Now, I love me some thrashy hardcore punk bands, but Mark, and I'm in the midst of writing an album here, Bombshell, for the two people who listen to us, right? There's no way there's gonna be hardcore punk songs on that album. Hell, Mark, we were in a band and we tried that, and we all know it doesn't suit me. Right. You could say, listen, all about the album we're going to review next, the Thursday album, and I don't know your thoughts actually about it all, but lyrically and visually, the song titles, the lyrics, the shit's way deeper. It's way deeper. You get a song like Radical Change. Listen, it's a oh, see? Yeah, that's a challenge, pal. So you get a song like Radical Change, right? And it's blistering, right? The guitar riffs are blistering. And I'm like, okay, now we're talking. And then the lyrics and the vocals hit. And it's like, okay, hey, we're going to drop our guitars to C sharp. We're going to put some stock lyrics, stock song titles together. You're going to hear it on your modern WWE shows and the entrance theme. And this is, I guess,
this dude would write the most righteous WWE entrance tunes, bro. Yeah. This is I'm trying so hard to be nice. I really shouldn't. This is fucking middle school heavy metal. This is what you listen to.
It's too manufactured, man. Too manufactured.
When you're dude, I can't listen to fucking King Diamond or Venom yet. It scares me in my sleep. This is what you listen to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh, no, hold on. It's their t-shirt has a raven on it. That's pretty cool. I'm into that, yeah. There's no substance to this.
No. And listen, I think Tremonti's niche and his fixture is that main guitarist position stage right when you're facing the stage and shredding and doing his thing. But, musically, again, Radical Change, Flying Monkeys, Arm Yourself, Dark Trip, Fall Again, musically they're cool, but man, I mean, lyrics. I mean, look, in Radical Change, please just one more chance. I just failed again. Question everything. Never understand. Point, blame, guilt today. Pride. I mean, come on. I don't need to be reading those, do I?
No, these lyrics are bad, dude. And I kind of disagree with you. I think you're giving him a lot of credit on this rock and roll. This is very mayonnaise heavy metal. This is
I'm giving him credit for guitar skills.
We're a little, yeah. I mean, the guitar works fine. The drumming's fine. Wolfgang Van Halen is fine, but none of this challenges anything. There's no progression here. It's just hey, dude, wouldn't it be cool if some of those metal riffs we play with, we just kind of recorded? And they were like, oh, fuck, we got an hour of this. And then Matt made me listen to it. Thanks, Matt. No, I'm just teasing. It's just one of those things. It's all right. This is a gateway band. This is I'm on my way to figuring out what cool is, and I don't have to listen to my mom's records anymore. This is a little different. This is starting me towards bigger and heavier and gnarlier stuff. And I don't think anyone in this band's a bad musician. I just don't think this record's worth anything. It's kind of got that cool cover, But then you get into this record and you're like, what is this garbage?
Well, so here we go, Mark. I'm gonna get cute right now. Let's play a game. You want to play quick game?
Oof. I mean, yeah, let's do it.
It's quick.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna create our own cauterize. You ready?
Oof. Okay, do it.
So cauterize, and it's short, but cauterize means basically to burn, right? So a synonym to burn is incinerate. So Mark, our album that we're going to be creating is called Incinerate. Okay. Now, Mark, come up with an album cover for Incinerate, would you?
I mean, I'm gonna go pretty stock on this. I want like Boiler Room. I want Up Close.
There you
like
go.
On a furnace.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Maybe a couple flames licking out the sides. I don't know if the door's open or not. You want the door open?
Or
do we want it shut with the flames still reaching out?
Oh, I like that one. That one's good. Yeah.
That's
good.
That's my cover. And then like cool, really like it looks like a root system, and if we write the name Incinerate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like kind of like evil lettering, right? Like kind of evil font.
Yeah, like it looks like, when you see like a picture of like a tree and they show the roots and the roots are all just gnarled and like it almost looks like it says something like that kind of like black metal stuff. I want that.
Love it. Now I have some potential song titles for us. Are you ready?
Do it.
So opening track is Cremate.
Okay.
Stop the Machine.
Sure.
Open Wound.
Mm-hmm.
And Brain Damage.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So those are my song titles, and I think we just created our Incinerate album, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely right. Like 5 songs right there. We got an EP.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, listen, it's pretty stock. That's the best way I can describe this album. Mark, anything else on this album you want to add? Not really, man.
It was way too damn long. I'm surprised with the amount of albums they have and
oh my god
popularity they have, because this might be part of like you and I really just being into maybe we just have a fetish for things that aren't cool.
Maybe well, we're music snobs, so that's
right.
Why. Yeah,
so I don't know where people like what's the value, like is it just that like is like wearing a lot of black eyeliner as a dude still cool? I don't know. I just don't get who's into this record.
Yeah.
Like Matt, we'll talk about it, buddy, because I think you need help.
There you go. Well, at least we're not getting Creed recommendations, because then, that would be a whole other level right there. But, so the next album we're going to get into is Thursday. You ready to get into that, pal?
Sure.
So City by Light Divided in 2006. I first caught wind of Thursday from the 2001 album Full Collapse, which is often regarded as their best effort. It has some singles that are more popular, such as Understanding in a Car Crash and Cross Out the Eyes. I dig those songs, but I didn't really get connected to the band until the next record, which was a major label release, 2003's War All the Time. I think they were getting mashed up in that kind of emo style, but I didn't really feel it at the time. I thought there was hardcore elements with some really catchy melodies and super descriptive lyrics that painted a picture in an open canvas, basically. That was my mind. So here we go. We have 2006's A City by the Light Divided. It takes that approach and expands on it. To me, it's more melodic. There's more personal tunes in there. It led them to new musical territory, so I guess experimental is the way of this album, in contrast to the album we previously looked at. And I guess Mark will tell me if I'm wrong, but we get some different song titles. We get At This Velocity, Running from the Rain, Telegraph Avenue Kiss, and Autumn Leaves Revisited. Mark, initial thoughts on the album?
I don't get what you like about this record.
Oh, I love it. I love getting them all riled up and stuff.
Do you want to jump into it, or you want to?
Yeah, we could definitely go track by track. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you like to take the honors?
Yeah, the other side of the crash / over and out brackets of control.
Ooh, good. Okay, good. Yeah.
Not a bad opening track.
Right.
Punchy. Driving bass line. On top of the lyrics, kind of cool. That driving feel, a little bit of like a kind of a cool, surviving a car crash, what happens on the other side. Then we get this not long, but this
it is a little long
into the second half of the song, the over and out in brackets of control.
Yeah.
Which kind of felt like I wrote this part for the song, but it doesn't really work. And they went, well, what if we just kind of added it to the end? And this is where I first realized there's something wrong with this record.
Is that second piece of the song?
Yeah, at that point I went, wait a minute, why isn't the song over? Why is the song start? Okay, it's starting again, but it's different. But it ended already. What are we doing? This isn't good. What's going on here? So this was the first. I really like the opening of it, like the first 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then just immediately for me, Frank, throw up that caution flag. We got troubles.
Yeah. So I have some similar notes in the sense where I think it's a very strong opening track. I think it's a sequel just because of the understanding in a car crash. Now we have the other side of the crash. So obviously there's some constant themes here. It does go on though a little bit long for my taste. I think, at the 4-minute mark, just as that 4-minute mark turns, I'm like, well, why is this still going? So it's, we both feel that there's some excess in this song that could have been left out, but I do think it's an opening punchy number. Then we get into the first single from the album, Counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I personally like the track. I think it's maybe it could have even been the intro to the album, or maybe the intro to the album really just should have been the other side of the crash, not the other piece. I like the verses with the distorted bass, and then the guitar comes in and it picks up the momentum. Mark? Question mark?
I hate the lyrics to this song.
Is it the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? Is that what's kind of getting you?
A little bit. It's kind of like a cheap attempt at an anthem, which I don't appreciate. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and this doesn't work for me. Musically, the band didn't really do anything new other than like the keyboard thing. Felt like the kind of like faux ghostly harmonics. Is that somebody singing, or is that just like a distorted tone on the keyboard? You couldn't really tell. And I was kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, because it wants to be this 5, 4, 3, 2, and like, but it's also trying to do this other thing. It didn't work for me.
Interesting, you said that too, because that little part, I always wondered if it was a vocal or if it was an effect. So that is something you.
Yeah, and I'm okay with not knowing.
Yeah,
I'm okay with them experimenting and trying different stuff. I think if I remember correctly from just kind of reading back on the album and understanding it, the keyboard player, this is he appeared on the album before this, but he was officially in the band.
Correct.
On this record.
You are right.
So it's kind of cool that like they gave him more of a role.
Yeah.
And there's more things going on. I just think he did a bad job with it. So the next song is Sugar in the Sacrament.
Yes, sir.
We're relying on that keyboard to set a lot of tone on the record, and in this song it really becomes a little bit more evident. The music is kind of formulaic to what the band's history of music is, and that's bad. They have an established sound and they really stuck with it. Lyrics are excessively wordy, all without really saying anything. This is something I'm going to get into quite a bit with this album. He really likes to overdo metaphors by following each metaphor with another metaphor that doesn't really fit with the last one. I get that they're vaguely related, but it doesn't work for me because we're just constantly doing it. Like every other line in a stanza is a different metaphor or a different, like we're describing too many things without describing anything. And that's a big problem for me with this song because it just confused the shit. Like I had no idea what this song was about. And especially with, the song titles being a little bit, cryptic in terms of like, we're not just spoon feeding you the chorus of the song as the song title, which I appreciate.
It's not a radical change.
Right. I just don't know what was this song about? Because every time I read through the lyrics, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. If we're looking at it from this angle, none of that makes any sense. But like every stanza and every verse, it kept canceling out another one, and it drove me insane.
So this is one of the tracks I have here in my notes, Spacey Tune. It's the first sign of experimentation, both musically and lyrically. And maybe I think that's what we're getting here. I think the experimentation is taken so kind of far down the rabbit hole. Like you said, it's metaphors beyond metaphors beyond metaphors. I personally like that there's a chaos to it and it keeps quiet. I think, again, they're trying to take really an example and be like, okay, we're going to get experimental here. But maybe that's proof in what you're bringing up too with the lyrics, to where it got too experimental, where here you are examining the lyrics and you're like, what? Right?
I couldn't, the consistency from song to song, or not even from song to song, from verse to verse into the chorus, into like, they didn't hold up. Like, no one, we talk about storytelling, we talk about building, we talk about creating vocal or verbal landscapes where you paint these pictures with your words. It just didn't do any of that for me, particularly in this song. And, it just didn't work for me.
So next one we get is at this Velocity, and this is another single from the album. This song's about an actual near death experience they had, obviously via plane. To me, it sounds like a plane crash, and I personally like these particular lyrics. We could be dead, complete the equation. Our names are X and N. We have no value in these calculations. I love this song. This song actually took a while for me to grow on me. The only shame, in my opinion, is that if you were to hear it live, the screams are super weak, and it's not good. It's almost upsetting how they can't duplicate that live. And I think that is a constant thread with the screaming portion of their songs live. But I mean, I personally dig this track. What about you?
Musically, probably one of my favorite songs on the record. Okay. I kind of like, math as a metaphor, more specifically kind of a word problem. I like the way it worked. It just didn't work for me across the length of the song. To be honest with you, I thought it was about the movie Final Destination.
Oh.
Because it's just kind of like, at this point, I feel like he's pulling at so much that it seemed like a logical conclusion to come to.
Right.
The idea is smart, but it's cumbersome, right? It's lyrically, it's an interesting idea to try to pull something like this mathematical word problem and connect it to something that happened in your life, or you know what I mean, or some event that you're trying to then represent. And they do simulate the sound of that plane crash very well musically. I feel like that came across.
Right.
I just don't like that they ended the song with that little sing-song, Mother, Father, can you hear this? That last little bit, I was just like, what the fuck is this? What are we doing? Mm-hmm. So it, much like the first song, started off really strong for me, and then just these red flags came out.
So it lost you there in the end. It's like it had you at one point, then it's like, hey, we're going to let you go now.
Yeah. So, track 5 is We Will Overcome.
Yes, sir.
Musically, we're back to that playbook. Not too much experimenting going on. That bass line's really driving things. Lyrically, we're back to a lot more metaphoric, over cliche nonsense for me, though, and it just really lost me. I got into the groove of it, and then as soon as that lyrical kind of just nonsense started, I checked out.
Did you get an 80s vibe to the song by any chance, or like
a little bit,
right?
But you take a phrase like "We Will Overcome," and there's a lot of what's the word I want to use here? There's a lot of gravity to those 3 words. You think about the slave history of this country and the civil rights movement. And what We Will Overcome will mean. You've really got, if you're going to use that as the title of a song or as a chorus of a song, you've really got to be able to support that with substance. And I really feel like they tried to overstuff this song again with what felt like substance, but turned out to be, nothing.
Do you think, so obviously another case where it's like too many words, right? Is that kind of what we're getting into now?
A little too overwordy, too much with the metaphors, and then using the chorus, we will overcome, we will overcome, there's that verse, our fathers planted arms in foreign soils, our brothers died, no one knows where it ends, between the crosshairs, our lives weave 1,000 deaths around us. Like, what is it you want to talk about? Because it feels like you're a little all over the place. There's a line, another life swinging in the breeze, the southern trees, and the strangest route. Like, what? Like, you almost connected it, and then you added an extra line that didn't. You probably added it because rhythmically it made sense to have those syllables come into play, but
right.
it doesn't work for the song, and it turns it into this thing where you're going like, what the fuck is this song about? Like, this doesn't, we will wait for this. We waited too long to see the promised land. We can't wait no more. We will stand up at this promised land. We will overcome. Like, wait, what? You can't get there, but we just need to stand up because we're there. What does any of this mean? It doesn't mean anything, because you're contradicting yourself and making this. It's just like over wordy garbage to me.
Now, can I make the argument, though, that to someone who could read that, not us, but to someone who could read that, they could find some sort of meaning in that, and then to them it makes complete sense, right? Because songs are like that, right?
You could find meaning in anything. If you look for anything hard enough, you'll find it. What I didn't find was meaning. And it's one of those things. The problem with this idea is that we're pulling too many metaphors together. We're trying to say this means something by putting all of these meaningful things in it, when really all you're doing is like, when you go to the fair and you throw the dart at the board full of balloons, like, you're not just throwing it at one, you're throwing it at a bunch of them in the hopes that you hit anything. They're just trying to hit anything. And it takes, when you use grandiose terms like we will overcome, and a dart is thrown just to hit anything, it doesn't work. It doesn't hold up under that.
Yeah, because you think, when you say wordy, I think of Dylan, right? Obviously, that's like a go-to for wordy songs. But and a lot of people could have been like, "Well, what was he talking about?" But I don't know. Maybe it was done differently. Maybe again, the attempts on this were just maybe a little too much. Maybe sometimes the simpler peeling back a little bit in certain songs, maybe it fits better, and this song could be a case in point too. This is one I actually skip over more frequently, so I had to go back and listen to this one. But I just love hearing your insight on it, which I think is cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, sir. The next track is an instrumental track. Can I just gloss over that one? Are you okay with that one? And can I go into Running from the Rain?
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't really have much to say about this other than I felt like, we're right smack at the middle of the album. We're transitioning. Musically, it feels like they're trying to go from a dark place into a light place.
Yeah.
But then there's all like this weird like static guitar feedback towards the end of it. So this transition that happens is still muddled with that. So you go, well, maybe it didn't transition. Maybe we just needed to fill time on the record.
Yeah, maybe. I could do without this though, or at least I could 100%. Yeah, or I could deal with it maybe on track 10 or whatever, maybe a little further down.
I will, and I promise I'll let you move on to the next track.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I think the title of this instrumental track is a perfect example of them overusing words and those words meaning nothing. The title of this track is Arc Lamps, Signal Flares, A Shower of White, in parentheses, the Light. Yeah. What the fuck does any of that mean?
Maybe it could have just been signal flares.
It could have just been signal flares. It could have been a shower of white, the light. It could have been arc lamps. It could have been. It means nothing. and we've added all of these tracks to it, and then it's like 3 minutes of like, is something going to happen? Oh, this is the instrumental track. So that's all I wanted to say about it.
Well, we get Running from the Rain. This is my favorite track on the record. To me, this shows the most growth from a band like this. I love the lyrics, whereas there was a sound that split all the heavens apart in the northern view. Out of the Southern Spark, Oh, I Will Be With You, Running from the Rain, When It Reaches the End of the Line. I like how he mentions Blood on the Tracks. Again, we just mentioned Bob Dylan. That's my favorite Dylan album, Blood on the Tracks. For some reason, it reminds me of the movie Stand By Me. I actually like this song. Now, I do think it falters from lack of production value, which that is something, and that's a theme in the album, especially if you hear War All the Time and then you hear this. But I dig this tune. What about you, Mark?
I could really feel the influence of this new producer this record have. He's the dude who did a bunch, if not all, of the Flaming Lips stuff.
Yeah.
So I mostly felt that in the music. I felt like, that kind of emo, screamo, post-hardcore thing that they do wasn't the focus here. They were trying to do something a little different. Mm-hmm. I think lyrically he's toned it down. It's probably his best work for me on the record.
Okay, cool.
The content's well composed. It's definitely the most coherent of any of the songs. Like I said, definitely up to this point, my favorite song on the album, if not overall, my favorite song on the album. I just, it's nice to hear them branching out and do something different, right? Breaking away from that repetitive, like, this is that trademark sound. For me at this point, right, we're 7 songs in.
We are.
It's just a little too late. I'm still pretty like, what the fuck is going on at this point? But then you get into track 8, Telegraph Avenue Kiss. To quote this song directly, Frank, I need someone to spell it out for me, because this doesn't work for me. We're back to this lyrical scheme of counting, like in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, with the spelling out of kiss, which whatever, it works for that line, but you did the same lyrical riff in the other song. This, why are you bringing it back on this record? Like it works, but like you just did that. So why are we doing that again? Otherwise, the lyrics were pretty generic for what the band usually does, and that's not really saying anything.
No, see, this one's interesting because I used to not like it, but then I started liking it more. But they have a comp record called Kill the House Lights, and there's a song on there called Telegraph Avenue Kiss, and it's a completely different song. You would think it's a different version. It's completely different. And when I heard this one on this album, I kind of liked it a little better. It's tough to follow up with Running from the Rain, which is my favorite track from there. But it's interesting how they have 2 songs. Yes, one's on a comp record, but they have 2 songs, same titles, but totally different sounds and everything. We get to the love song writer. This Running from the Rain's my favorite track. This to me is the most interesting. It gets close to, if not becomes emo, where you get this guitar riff that bleeds into a piano and then gets loud and again chaotic. I think you get descriptive lyrics here. You're the broken heart, you're the sigh and the back of the throat, and on the other side you're the queen of spades, you're the town that he meets on the way. Mark, the love song writer.
Did he get dumped for a dude who writes songs? Is that what happened here? This just feels catty and bitter to me.
You think it feels like, hey, this is kind of post-breakup, and I'm just really angry and bitter, like you said?
Yeah, it's kind of putting this song on like, oh man, the song just gets how I feel. Mm-hmm. I don't care for the music, but what's wrong with this song? There's something not like. Some of the lyrics are all right, and I think you probably picked the best of it.
Oh, thank you.
But to me, it just comes across as like well, I don't really write love songs, and that's why you didn't fall in love with me. You fell in love with that guy because he wrote, I'm John Lennon, and you fell in love with Paul McCartney, and you're a dumb bitch for thinking that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it just feels shitty. Like I can't get behind this song at all. Like the musically, it's whatever. Lyrically, it's kind of stupid.
You think it's just a silly little bitter song, right?
I do. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I don't understand why you write a song like this. I don't see, as a musician, as this album is trying to say a lot, right? Like, even though I don't feel like it's saying anything at all. This song is just kind of like oh, hey, I need to call that guy a dick in this song. because my girlfriend broke my heart by fucking him. So yeah, it's just the way it felt for me.
There you go.
You know, the next one is Into the Burning Light.
The blinding light, right?
Blinding. Sorry. Excuse me.
Unless it was so bad for you listening to this that you felt like you were getting burned.
Cool intro.
Yeah.
Into some driving rock. You know, they do that big bass and drum sound really well.
They do.
Will the song go anywhere? Almost. Lyrically, this thing is a mess. Verse and chorus bleed together like a run-on sentence into a run-on paragraph that just needs to end but won't. The song needed to be too smart for its own good. Less is more here. Lyrically, because musically the song it's pretty cool. It's not the same old thing from the band that you have on kind of that first half of the record. But I just feel like this song couldn't get away from itself. Mm-hmm. Lyrically, this thing's a fucking dumpster fire. He's just vomiting lyrics for what would appear to be literally no reason. It makes no sense to me. It's incoherent and useless. Do you like the song, Frank?
So this track reminded me of something off of War All the Time, the previous album. I think it's I think it's filler. This is not War All the Time. It didn't do anything for me. I'm starting to wonder if I should have given you War All the Time, but that's not what we're here to do, right? We're here to kind of do this. But yeah, it didn't do anything to me. It's just okay. Again, if it was on the previous album, maybe it would have blended in. But you know, maybe it was one of those leftovers, could have been from the previous album, and they're like, okay, let's insert it into track 10. But yeah, it didn't do anything for me. I'll agree with you on that one. The last proper closing track of the album, Autumn Leaves Revisited. It's almost 7 minutes long. So again, this is the album's official closer. The other track after this is a bonus track.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, I just pulled it up on Spotify, so I got both of them.
Yeah.
But okay, I mean, let's talk about this song.
Yeah, we'll talk about it too. Absolutely. Listen, it shows that they were trying to do something different here. I think all the little different things they did come pronounced, you know, like from the bass notes, there's pronounced bass notes, the pianos. I think watching this live, I think out of the 7 minutes, I probably would want it to be over at the 4 minute mark. But based on the position of the album, I think it's a fitting closer. But again, it is 7 minutes. So, Mark, your thoughts?
Yeah, I could see if this were the last song, you know, originally, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much wasted time and filler in this song. I can't stand how long it drones on for nothing. No payoff. No, it just drones and drones. It's supposed to be deep and meaningful and rich with metaphor. But guess what, Frank? It's not. It sucks. This song sucks. Yeah.
There you have it, folks.
And I wanted to ask you this because I thought it was interesting. You know, it makes more sense. The title, Autumn Leaves Revisited, that sounds like a thing that's the end, right?
Yeah. Yes. Is
Autumn Leaves something that happens before? Like, is that the name of another song on another record that's completely different?
No, absolutely not.
So what the fuck? Because at that right, you call it, you call the other song Telegraph Avenue Kiss Revisited.
Right?
Or Redux or whatever you're into. And you just call this Autumn Leaves. Again, too much of the back and forth with the metaphor, make sure you bury me under the falling leaves. But also the line, I'll be here when you die. And it's just like, well, wait, if you're going to be there when he dies, who's burying you under the leaves? We're stacking cool sounding things on top of each other in the hopes that they equal something.
There you go.
And they don't. Do you want to talk about even the sand is made out of seashell? Did you prepare yourself for that?
The question is, did you prepare yourself for that, my friend?
I did.
Go ahead.
The perfect, overly dramatic, nonsensical opus of overlapping, poorly formed metaphors to end the album. It sucks. Yeah, this to me was like, let's do Autumn Leaves Revisited again, but I want to try it a different way with different metaphors and see. Like, it felt like they couldn't figure out how to end the album, so they just stuck both of them on there. So,
Did you get any sense like, listen, there's that opening piano. It is dreamy. There's a guitar slow build. I mean, keep in mind it's a bonus track, so we always have to keep that kind of context in mind. There is some dark elements to it, right? I mean,
sure, I guess those like minor chords. Was that I think overall, it's interesting that that's a bonus track. Right,
yeah.
I'd have thrown that away personally and never let it see the light of day. But I guess they worked on it, and it got me to listen to them for 4 more minutes on Spotify. So that's an extra 1/37th of a penny for them.
Yum.
Overall, I'm not a big fan of some of the like half talking singing that he does.
I've never been a fan of the talking and the singing stuff too. Okay,
and it's kind of across most of this record where he's kind of half talking, half singing, and then he's screaming. Whatever. I get that people are into that sound. It's not for me. I like scream if you're going to scream with me.
Nice. I got it. Yeah, I got it.
As far as the music goes, it's not bad. I'm not opposed to it. I like that there was some experimentation, right? I was familiar with the 2 singles off the first album.
Yeah.
I listened to
War All the Time.
Listened to War All the Time once through. Before listening to this,
did you think that was a better album, War All the Time?
I went, I'm surprised Frank likes this. But and then this, and I figured you wanted me to listen to this because it's the more experimental of it. It's the more of them maybe trying to grow as a band.
Yeah.
Hopefully as a songwriter.
That's exactly and you nailed it because I like War All the Time personally better, but I was like, this one does have again these experimental elements, and of course that's what this is about, is doing that. And listen, you brought up a good point when you said you're surprised that I like it, because in 2003 when I first heard like the single, which was I think Division Street off War All the Time, I was like, oh, Thursday's just the emo screamo band. But then I was bored one day and just when I had no responsibilities in life and bought the album, and I was like, okay, I dig it. I dig it. So I did like War All the Time. This is definitely the more experimental album, and I'm glad I threw it your way, because listen, if I just threw albums at you that you just liked and everything was great, then what would be the point of everything, right?
Yeah, sure. That's what Check Out This Song is for, folks.
Yeah, there you go.
Things. Like I said, musically, I liked that it wasn't simply a rehash of all the sounds that came before it, right? I liked that they did some more stuff. Lyrically, again, dumpster fire. I want to support you for thinking he's a decent writer, but this album's it better not be his best work, because my God, it's cliche, it's full of metaphors that overlap and don't go anywhere. Which, if you're trying to be a writer and you're trying to be deep and introspective, figure out what you're trying to say, and then craft your song around that. Don't simply dump a bunch of lyrics down and then say, this is what they mean, because that's not what they mean. And I feel like that's what he tried to do here. And it ruined the record for me, because musically, a different singer, a different lyricist, this could have been a really cool record. It just didn't work for me.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I've written some stuff where, and I have looked at Thursday albums as far as the imagery goes, and I wouldn't necessarily say I'm pulling directly from them when creating stuff, but there is a time when you are writing songs and you're writing lyrics that certain things just pop up, right? And they may not mean something other than what they are at that particular point in time, and maybe it's just, hey, listen, leave them in, and then when Mark, say, listens to it, Mark could have his own kind of view as to what potentially is trying to be said there. Again, a la stuff Dylan used to do. But there is that fine line between doing it maybe a couple times and then, as you were kind of experiencing, right, maybe doing it all the time.
Well, hey, look, you're putting out your band's 4th record.
Yeah.
It's your 2nd major label record. Find a writing buddy. You run these lyrics past somebody who's going to be honest with you, because this was a girlfriend or a brother or somebody who is just proud of you because man, look at these 11 songs, 10 songs you wrote for this record, and good for you, and didn't give you any real feedback. There's just so much clumsiness when it comes to these song structures, the lyrical patterns. It's a waste. This was a waste, and this record's fucking long, man.
It is it's longer than War All the Time, I believe.
It's certainly longer than necessary, that's for sure.
Well, 41 minutes is War All the Time. 50 minutes here is Saved by the Light Divided. Thursday's been inactive for a while. I mean, they had a 2009 album, Common Existence, and then their 2011 album, which is super experimental, called No Devolution. I know they've played here and there. There's been some internal conflicts that they really haven't been that active. The singer is in a super group band. I don't think they've played a lot recently too, called United Nations, where it's strictly like hardcore fast punk songs. So who knows if we'll never get another Thursday album. Maybe Mark will be happy if we never get a Thursday album. I tell you what, though, if they do release one, I'm going to tell Mark that we're going to review it, though, on this very show.
God damn it. All right. Hey, that's what I signed up for, folks.
That is.
Hey, look, if you don't like what I had to say about this Thursday record, okay, do me a favor, request a record for me to listen to. That's going to blow my socks off. You can do that on YouTube. You can do that on Instagram. Comment on any of our posts, or send us a DM. Do they have those on YouTube? Do they have the direct messaging?
You can send it. You can send a direct message. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're more comfortable with that, you don't want to. You're kind of embarrassed, but you want to fuck with me, so you're going to recommend something.
Yeah.
Send us one of those. We'd love to check out the albums you guys suggest. Matt, thank you. I know we busted your balls. But thank you for sending in that recommendation and for listening. I mean, we're going to keep doing this even if you guys don't listen to it, because it gives us an excuse to get away from our wives for a few hours on a Monday night.
Hey-o. But, and this is what it's about again. And listen, I got Mark to like Let It Be by the Replacements. My life is complete. That to me was the grail, because that album means so much to me. And he cannot like anything else after this. That's fine by me. But again, listen, send us requests. If you don't want to talk to Mark because he mans the Instagram, message me on YouTube and I'll then send it to Mark.
See, we get a safe space for everybody. That way you don't have to worry about
for everybody.
Frank, you want to tell everybody what we got for next week?
Yeah, so obviously we do our album verses, right? We do our album reviews. Obviously we have to check out this song that's YouTube exclusive. We got something cool now. We're doing a spotlight series where we pick a band and we're really going to highlight a lot of stuff, practically all the stuff up into their career from inception all the way to now. We're going to talk about the discography, the songs we like, everything. We're going to cover a whole variety of topics within this band, our own personal history with them and everything. And the band we have is, drum roll, from the former drummer, Mark. Is that a drum roll?
I don't know if you can hear it.
There you go. It's Rancid.
Yeah.
It's Rancid. So I'm really excited to go through kind of Rancid's history.
One of the most iconic bands of the second wave, or third wave, depending on how you think this whole thing folded out. Punk rock legends, though.
Totally.
We're gonna talk about whether or not they should let Matt sing.
Absolutely. We're going to go through all the albums from after the breakup of Operation Ivy, from the first Rancid self-titled album, Rancid 2000 self-titled, to the current records now. The drummer changes, the dynamics between Lars and Tim, Matt singing, Matt's bass playing, which is absolutely phenomenal. The overall legacy of the band, the songs that we love, the songs that we could do without. I mean, just everything in reference to one of our favorite bands, right, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. This will be a lot of fun. Again, we're gonna say some really great things about Rancid. I'm gonna tell you what dog shit the last few records have been.
He is.
Spoiler alert. And we'll talk about why Lars Frederiksen's and the Bastards may have been the better band.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun with it. So it'll be a full length episode that'll be out for you guys. If you're listening to this on Friday when our episodes come out,
yep,
this will be available the following week. Something we'll look forward to.
Yeah.
So break out those records.
Yeah, break out the records, listen to them, enjoy them, everybody. Give us suggestions. Also, give us a review. Forget 5-star reviews, but totally
6 stars minimum, Frank.
6 stars minimum. Absolutely.
Right.
The more record reviews we get, the happier we'll be. There's going to be some cool things in the future, not only as far as episodes go, but some surprises for all you guys out there, right, Mark?
Yeah. They're going to be surprises for me too, folks.
Exactly. Mark just found out about them. All right, everyone. Thank you again. Stay healthy there in quarantine land, and we'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.